Good morning, everyone. Here we are going to start the next module, that is first module. It is we are going to talk about the introduction towards measurement and some of the scaling techniques. And in the previous classes, we have discussed about the nature and use of a psychological test, and we have given the definition for psychological testing, and we have given the entire outline related to a psychological test or conducting the psychological test. And here we are going to give some of the description towards the measurement and some of the scaling techniques. The first category that will goes for related to operational definition, or the categories for making into come under the definition operational definitions, include the first one, that is the self-report measure. That is, self-report measures are those in which participants report on their own thoughts, feelings, and actions, as with the Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale. So that is one of the example for related to self-report measure. That is Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale. So here what they are doing is it is the participant or the subject itself reporting some of the feelings or some of the thoughts and actions by their own. Okay, so they itself filling the measurement or report. They are giving one self-report related to their characteristics or their behaviors. So one of the example for that is Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale. And the other operational category, that is behavioral measures. And behavioral measures are those in which some other aspects of participants' behavior is observed and recorded. So it is behavioral measures, the behavioral patterns of the other participant or the client is being understood by the clinical psychologist or researcher or the trainer from the other area. That is, he will be an observer, and they are observing and they are understanding the behavioral patterns, and that is being recorded. So that will comes under behavioral measures. So the first one is self-report measures, and the second one is behavioral measures. And this is an extremely broad category that includes the observation of people's behavior both in highly structured laboratory tasks and in more natural settings. So behavioral measures is a broad category, that is, we can say that the people's behavior can be observed with structured laboratory settings as well as in the natural setting. So observation will goes on. So it is making some difficulties in the case of behavioral measures. And a good example for the behavior measures that includes it would be measuring the working memory capacity using the backward digit span task, or you can see that some of the immediate memory span task. So it is all related to measuring the working memory of the person. And the other operational definition that goes, it will be physiological measures. And we know that physiological measures are those that involve recording any of a wide variety of physiological processes, including heart rate and blood pressure and galvanic skin response, hormone levels and electrical activity and blood flow in the brain. So this is all related to the physiological measures or physiological actions which are taken place in our body, and which are happening inside, or which are happening these measures, which are the processes which are going with the body, and it can be recorded using some of the processes like including heart rate, blood pressure and skin response, hormone levels and blood flow in the brain. So these all will be recorded using some of the measurements. So that we have already discussed, or you may be discussing these all related to blood flow, brain barriers, and blood flow in the brain, and how it is being measured. So these all things can be discussed in your related to human physiology. And this is the last, or this is the final operational definition under physiological measures, and most probably mainly three, that is self-report measures, behavioral measures, and the third one is physiological measures. So it all related to physiological measures is all related to include go for recording the activity which are physiological activity which are taking place. Yes, moving into the next session, that is related to the levels of measurement. So we have talked about what is the definition for giving the measurement, and we have also discussed the different levels or operational definitions for giving some of the operational definitions related to the measurement. And here we are going to discuss about the different levels of measurement. So on what it is being based, or on what concept it is being done, the levels. Okay, so here the psychologist S. Stevens suggested that scores can be assigned to individuals in a way that communicates more or less quantitative information about the variable of interest. So as like we said in the previous one, so we have mentioned that it should be assigned, or the information that has been communicated, it is being communicated on the basis of quantitative informations related to or about the variable what we are interested, or what we are conducting the research, or what we are going to understand related to the variable of. So that is an idea given by, or it is a roadmap. It comes to define the levels of measurement, that is by Stevens in 1946. And here we can see the example how it can be done, how it can be assigned. So for example, the officials at a 100-meter race could simply rank order the runners as they cross the finish line, like first, second, third, fourth, etc. But they'll be expecting some of the criteria to be measured. So here they will be followed just a rank order method, and it will not give you the result that is related to how it is being classified, or how they have been measured these difference between these two people, or the 3 or 4 people. So they will be just classified as based on the rank order method, first, second, and third. So in between there will be some factors, or some of the things that we have to measure, so that will follow up. So here we have mentioned that the stopwatch procedure, instead of the rank order method, that is classifying as first, second, and third, so it is being classified in between with some other factors, like. So here we can see that the stopwatch procedure communicates how much longer the second place finisher took to finish than the first place winner. So in between there is a factor related to the time gap. So if you are following the stopwatch procedure, that is a correct method of assigning the scores, and it will deeply explain you how much time it has been taken by the second place finisher than the first place finisher, or that who reached in the first place and the second place. So in the rank order method you can see only the first place, second place, or third place, but here you can you will be going with some of the detailed information, that is you will be getting there will be some time gap, or this much time we have taken to cover that. So there will be some answers that you can find for some of the questions in. And he suggested that, or actually Steven suggested that there are 4 different levels of measurement, and which he calls scales of measurement, that correspond to 4 different levels of quantitative informations that can be communicated by a set of scores. So he suggested that there will be mainly 4 different levels for levels of measurements, and he called it as scales. So we have already mentioned that the scaling techniques in the starting itself. We have mentioned that introduction to measurement and some of the scaling techniques. So he called it as, or Stevens actually referred it as scales of measurement, and it is all related to levels of quantitative informations. It can be understand, or it can be communicated by a set of scores. So here we are having these 4 different levels of measurement, and the first one, that is it is mentioned here, that is a nominal scale, ordinal scale, endeavor scale, and the fourth one is a ratio scale. Yes, when going for that, we already said that we have 4 different levels of measurement, and it is mentioned here. And when discussing about the first one, that is the nominal scales, in nominal scale measurement, we merely use a number as a label for a class or category. The only rules for assigning numbers are that all members of any class shall have the same number, and that no two class shall be assigned the same number. Example, we'll be having we have gone through some of the statistical methods. We have already gone through some of the statistical methods that we have studied, like mod, frequencies, etc. So here we can see in the level of frequency that you will be measuring only, or you will be assigning only one number, or using a single number for a particular class, and there you will not provide in the same group or in the same label or same class as any other different number. Okay, all the members or all the characteristics for that class will be same. The only rule for assigning the numbers are that all members of any class shall have the same number, and that no two class shall be assigned the same number also. So if you distribute again the next class, there is no same number can be done with the first class. The nominal level of measurement is used for categorical variables and involves assigning scores that are category labels. So as we described in the previous point, that is for each class there will be assigning a single number, or all the members or all the entire characteristics of that class will be same, and it cannot be provided to another class. So like that, the nominal level of measurement is used for categorical variables. So the single category which will be labeled in the same, the variables in the same variable can be categorized only into the single group. So and involves assigning scores that are, it is known as category labels, and category labels communicate whether any two individuals are the same or different in terms of the variable being measured. For example, you can see here, if you look at your research, participants as they enter the room decide whether each one is male. For example, if you look at your research, participants as they enter the room decide whether each one is male or female, and this and type this information into a spreadsheet. You are engaged in nominal level measurement.